Okay, we'll move over to our next question from Double, who asks, do you care about lounge access? If so, why? If not, why not? And how much are you willing to pay or do for it? Now, let me just preface this by saying lounge access, if you book international business and international first class, you get lounge access as part of your ticket. You book United Polaris, you're going to get access to a Polaris lounge. And I've never set foot in a Polaris lounge, but I have to imagine that the salad is not sad and the cookie is a little bit softer.
They don't have cookies in the Polaris Lounge, and it drives me up a wall.
Even worse. It's a slightly better salad.
I don't know if I show up at the wrong time. If there's cookies, I'm just never at the right time and place, but there's usually never cookies. Or at least not the soft, fresh baked ones like you find at the United Clubs in the Polaris Lounge for some reason. Salad bar is actually larger. It's not as sad. I will attest to that. I'll give you 2 points for that. It is a better salad with more than just balsamic vinaigrette and ranch dressing and shredded carrots and maybe red radishes to put on a pile of dry lettuce. It's definitely better than that. But don't forget that the majority of Polaris lounges also have the sit down restaurant. Yes, you have to make a reservation, so hopefully you're not going when it's too busy. But then you can just order an actual not sad
Meal.
salad. Exactly. And it's all included. It's cruise ship rules. Like, I want 3 entrees and they don't care. Like, you paid your ticket. So tip your waiter.
Yeah. If lounge access is super important to you for an international flight, booking international business, international first class is always going to get you lounge access to the
Absolutely.
airline's lounge. That is going to be better than the priority pass lounge and
Yep.
probably better than most of the credit card lounges. But we've also stated multiple times, RJ, lounge access is very near and dear to you because of your flying situation. So obviously you care about it, but would you be willing to pay for it if it didn't come included on your cards?
Yes, absolutely. If it wasn't
Okay.
on the Platinum or the Delta Reserves, I would have a membership. Like it's not even a you get the full question out and I say yes situation. It is a yes situation. I so I cannot take a flight anywhere without a layover. Unless I am going to LaGuardia, Atlanta, or Detroit, I'm taking a layover. Fun fact, if I'm going to LaGuardia, I'm not flying. That would not be how I would get downstate. I would take
Right.
Amtrak if I was going to the city. It's easier. So for me, lounge access is important. I rather have sad salad and potentially not soft cookie around a couple hundred people than several thousand people in the main terminal. That's a me thing. That is a me priority. I understand. Look, I don't really care about international travel. So if you care about that and want to go to those lounges, I hope you have the best time in the world. I probably will never go, so I don't care about it. Just as a personal thing, not as a give advice thing. But for me, they're not a factor. Lounge access is important just because of how I travel and the fact that there's always going to be a layover. I do not do short layovers. I will not do a layover under 90 minutes. So I want someplace to chill out. I tend to be pretty good at hitting LaGuardia when it's not super packed, and Atlanta, there's so many lounges that you can, as long as you're willing to go to a lounge that's not in the terminal you're flying out of, because they have the train so you can get pretty much anywhere fairly quickly, like you'll find a lounge that's not packed. So for me, I don't really ever have a problem getting into a lounge. I have lounge access in 4 different ways to Delta and the Centurion right now. It'll be 3 ways after August. But yeah, no, it's important to me. How much am I willing to pay? Well, I pay $6.95 on the Platinum times 2, and I pay $6.50 on the Reserve times 2. So probably that. Would I pay the 20 whatever hundred? No. As long as I don't have to think about it because my cards give me access, I am just going to pay for the cards. That's my answer. Because of how Delta does it and because of how the Centurion is part of it, like I just don't have to necessarily do that math. But for me, it is important. Like I'm pro lounge. I am notoriously pro lounge on this podcast for reasons like can't get direct flights, so gotta go somewhere. Rather go to a lounge than the terminal.
That's fair. Lonnie, you're a bit less pro lounge. How much do you care about lounge access? Do you care about it? And how much would you be willing to pay or do for it?
Good question. Very bad answer or bad answers in which I'm about to give you. Because me personally, if I'm traveling solo, I don't necessarily, I can say I care about lounges. So if I'm traveling solo, I'm the type of person, I don't arrive to the airport right away, like super duper early. I'm the type of guy that like shows up, drops my bag off if I need to. If I'm carrying on, I go straight through security. And then by the time I'm done through security, we are boarding. Like I go to whatever cafe, buy my bottle of water, line to pre-board or group one or whatever. So I just skip over the lounge. Not even the lounge, and I'll probably just skip the Polaris lounge because like I don't want to show up early for what? To go sit down? No. Just put me on. I'm going to sit on the plane for the next 10, 12 hours. I'll sit down over there. And they're going to feed you on the plane too. Now, the kind of part comes in when I'm with my family. And my wife loves lounges. And now we have the United Club card because that one card covers all three of us in our family, myself, my wife, and my son. We can all get in for free. And when we travel, that comes in as a super benefit because maybe we don't want to sit down. Maybe he doesn't want to run around the airport or something like that. Maybe he needs milk or he needs food or a bowl of cereal or a cookie. And instead of paying $6.95 for a black and white cookie from Starbucks or something, we already paid our
Lucky you
annual
find
fee.
it.
Yeah, right. We can get it from the lounge, right? Especially toddlers and kids. They need their milk. They want their milk. They want that type of stuff. They have that at the lounge. And at the same time, we can grab a quick drink or something like that. Or juice. Free juice at the lounge for kids as well. So in that regard, yes. Now, I would still say that we don't like to arrive early. There's times where we'll still arrive at the airport and let's just go to lounge for 15 minutes because we already paid for it. And that's literally like the mindset. We already paid for it. We're walking by it. Let's just stop in there, grab something real quick. Even if it's roll it up in a napkin or put it in a sandwich bag so we can take it on the plane. We'll just run in because we already paid for it. Now, when I'm flying international, that's when it really makes a difference to me. And that's solo or with family. So just as you had said, even if it's like United and there's no United Polaris lounge internationally, they'll share a lounge with another Star Alliance member. There's times where they share it with a airline that's outside of Star Alliance. I've been in countries where I'm flying United and they put me in like British Airways lounge, those types of things. The other aspect is I try to avoid connections as possible. Domestically, I always try to get nonstop. And internationally, I always try to get nonstop. I always try to avoid connections. If I have a connection, then yes, lounge now becomes important because it gives me a place to sit. But if not, then no, I'm not going to the lounge after my flight lands. I don't know why or how people do that. Get me out of this airport. The last thing that really makes lounges important to me is, once again, flying solo. So as I mentioned before, I fly for work. If I had a coworker with me and I could get them in the lounge with me, then that makes a difference as well. Before we got the United Club card and I still had my Explorer and my 2 free United Club passes, which actually roll over. So there's a point of the year where for about 45 days, you actually, if you don't use any, you have 4. You got the 2 from last year and you just got your 2 new ones as well. It's about 30, 45 day overlap. But they expire. So I'm like, I got to burn these things anyway. I'm traveling with teammates or whatnot. Hey, y'all want to burn these with me? Let's all get into there. And then we'll go into a United Club together. In those situations, then yes, it makes sense. One, because like I said, that's not a stunt feature. That's share the wealth feature. And I'm very happy to share the wealth. But would I put lounge access as a priority? Absolutely not. When I look at a card, I'm not looking at lounge access. I have not been in all the Centurion lounges here in the US, even with my Platinum card. I've never stepped foot in this Chase Sapphire Lounge. I've mentioned that before. It doesn't really matter to me that much. And I've been in DC that had a Sapphire Lounge, and I didn't go to it because United Club was 15 steps away, and the Sapphire Lounge was somewhere over there. And I said, screw that. I'm not going over. You guys know me. I don't make that walk. I'm not making that walk. That should sum up my answer of how important is that lounge access to me. Is I'm lazy at the airport. Travel experience. Let's go back to it. What's the most simple thing? What can actually get me there? What can help facilitate my day or whatever you want to call it? But am I willing to pay for it? Yes, because I have so many cars that have priority pass or lounge access included in some way, shape, or form. I gotta say I'm willing to pay for it. But is it a priority when selecting a card? Absolutely not. It's probably not even in my top 5.
No, that's certainly fair. I prioritize it as I like the option. It is not the be all end all for my travel day. Yes, I would prefer to have it than not, and that is why I pay the annual fee on the Sapphire Reserve that I pay. It is an option I prefer to have. When I'm booking international flights going forward, I will certainly shoot for international business, international first, so that I can get the lounge access included in my ticket. Like Aer Lingus has a lounge at JFK. Aer Lingus should also be getting a lounge at Terminal 6 when they move to Terminal 6. Getting into that lounge would be cool. I like the ability that I can have a space where, depending on how early I get into, or if I do a connecting flight somewhere, I have a place that I can go to that is quieter than the gates, quieter than the food court, quieter than the rest of the airport. And if that's a respite for 30, 45 minutes, cool. If that's an hour that I could take to work on various projects, either for this channel, for new projects, if there's new projects going forward, I will take that time and that like relative quiet to work on that. But I don't value it as I have to get to the airport 3 hours early because I have to go to a lounge every single time I'm flying. I fly on JetBlue out of JFK. There's no JetBlue lounge yet, and I can't go to the Sapphire Lounge and then connect over to JetBlue because then I have to go through security twice. I'm not going through security at Terminal 4 and then finagling myself over to Terminal 5 to make my flight. No, absolutely not. So I like the option. I will pay for the option. I will not go too far above and beyond having the option and booking the option when booking internationally going forward.
So at SFO, United is in Terminal 3.
Yep.
The Terminal 1, which is called the Harvey Milk Terminal, I believe, just got a full remodel, and there's a new club and whatever. It looks nice. Never stepped foot in it. Because there is you can kick rocks if you think I'm about to walk from Terminal 3 all the way down to Terminal 1 just to go sit in the lounge.
Airports can have different terminals. It's not just one giant building that you walk like 45 feet to all the way.
Not every airport is Albany.
Right. I hope you're joking.
So my airport, there's 1 and 2, but it's do you go left or do you go? It was a small airport joke.
Yeah.
So it depends on the airport, to be completely honest. There are many airports. So I'm going to use San Francisco, so SFO, where it's 4 terminals. So 3 domestic terminals and then the international terminal. The thing is that they are fully connected. So you can go through any terminal and walk to the other. But then there are other airports that the terminals are disconnected, where you can't just walk cleanly. Like you mentioned in Atlanta, you got to take a train. You can walk that 2-mile long hallway if you want, but nobody ever really does. Denver's also that way. You have to take a train. You can't just walk from one terminal to the other. You have to get on some type of transportation. I believe IAD is the same way, where you get on those big, super military looking buses or whatnot that drive over the tarmac. You can't just walk from one to another. But in some cases, in most cases, yes. So yes, I can be in Terminal G in SFO, and I can just walk clear to 1.
JFK is completely disconnected.
But not yet. JFK is a disconnected one.
Yeah. LaGuardia is also disconnected between terminals A, B, and C, but they all got remodels, so that was nice. Do I care about lounge access? I care enough to give myself the option. I am willing to pay what I'm willing to pay for an annual fee and whatever I'm willing to pay for international flights, primarily in points. But I'm not going out of my way to make the lounge my thing.
It's amazing the difference between small airports and big airports.
Yes.
If you all lived where I did and had a regional airport, I would be very like, because here's the thing, you can't really know if your answer would be different, but
Yep.
I feel like my answer would probably be different if I lived in a place with 15 options for direct flights versus 2.5.
Or Albany gets a United Lounge.
LAX is connected as well. It's not easily connected, but it's connected. No.
The United Lounge is probably the least reasonable option because United is actually last on the list for market share at Albany. So Southwest, American, and Delta flip back and forth, a couple of regionals, and then United. So if anybody is going to go in, it's going to be American. I have said that I would switch to United to get into a lounge. I am not switching to American to get into an Admirals Club. I have
No.
standards.
That's fair.
So one thing about United, and I'll be a United advocate in this case, they have a double-edged sword when it comes to their lounges. Just speaking of the clubs, not the Polaris lounges. First off, if you're in a United hub, they have more than one United club. So they're usually like never packed in the first place. And the other thing is so many people trying to get to like the Plaza Premium lounges, the Priority Plus lounges, and whatever other. If you're taking another airline, you're not in around them anyway because you're in a United hub. So you irrelevant. But for example, like Chicago has 7 United clubs, obviously headquartered there. I think SFO has 2 or 3, plus the Polaris. Yep. I think LAX has 4. Denver has 3 now. Also, the one in Denver, if you're in the B terminal, which is the brand new one, it's like 3 or 4 stories tall. It looks immaculate. I was in there. It's beautiful. And that one's packed. Just go to A terminal. Those types of things. Like there's another one right over there. But the other side of that double-edged sword is United has clubs in airports where they're not hubbed at. So even if like you're in a perfect example, we're in New Orleans for the creator meetup last year. The New Orleans airport had a United club in it. And that's not a United hub whatsoever. When everyone else is flying Delta or American and they're getting into their lounges, this also people where it's not as popular. You don't get United Club just for buying first class. You can get Polaris for buying first class on an international flight, but first class domestic flight does not guarantee you United Club access. So even for the first class people, they're not getting in just because they bought the ticket, which means either you pay to play or you have a subscription or a membership in some way, shape, or form, which also just makes it my more desired path. Like I said, LAX and San Francisco Airport, the Centurion lounges are in the terminals where United is. And I will still choose the club, even though I can get into the Amex lounge, knowing that the Amex lounge is going to be packed compared to the United club.